It seems like we're seeing the same problem rearing its ugly head now again. And just like we saw in December and right before Christmas just a few years ago at the end of 2019, an ounce of prevention would go a long way. And it's not like we don't have a recent history as a clear sign and indicator of just how bad a problem we could be facing ahead of us, and still with time to get ready and be prepared. And I got to tell you guys, I hate to say it, but if we ignore these warning signs and pretend like they just don't exist and that everything will just be all right, well, then I think that we're just asking for trouble, and the doom and peril that will be unleashed on the many based on the poor decisions and inaction of the few will see a death toll rising to near catastrophic levels and biblical proportions. But yet and still, people ask me, Kevin, why don't you trust the government, and more so the current administration? Well, the answer is simple. They suck, and they continue to make it blatantly obvious and clear that they don't give a flying hoot about our own safety and the well-being of this country and the tax-paying U.S. citizens of America. And here's proof. Look at the screen. U.S. senators write letters to Biden, essentially begging him to take action and reminding him that we should not wait for what we all know is the worst to come. Marco Rubio said in a tweet on X, "We asked Biden to ban travel to and from China until we know more about this mystery pneumonia outbreak." And I got to tell you guys, I honestly didn't see this happening again just like this, a repeat, and so soon at that. I mean, it's literally like they are trying the same old fake field goal, QB sneak, play action fake, wide out, fake reverse, punt, fumble rooski, okey doke that they ran and scored on us with before. But this time, our defensive coordinator refuses to listen to all the experts who are reading the offense and yelling and screaming at the top of their lungs, "Hey, it's happening again! We can stop this! We can block it!" But we have to take action now. And instead, what do? Exactly what we did before. Nothing. We just continued to let this weather balloon that just so happened to fly off course continue to fly overhead and cross over the airspace of sensitive military installations, collecting and capturing valuable intel before we then spend $1.5 million to shoot them down. Only by then, it was too little and too late. Now, I don't want to sound like the bearer of bad news, but I'm merely the messenger delivering the bad news. And I hate to say it, but if we allow this to continue on for another 4 years, then those may be our last. U.S. officials frustrated by Biden administration's response to attacks in the Red Sea, or perhaps maybe lack thereof. Israel raises threat level against travel to 80 countries due to Gaza war. Meanwhile, we continue to see further cognitive decline and blatant disregard for decency. Pension-eligible workers face reduced Social Security benefits. There is an obvious disconnect at the Fed, and it seems like maybe the most logical solution at this point in time is to just line them all up one by one and just begin taking them out. And I was honestly shocked to see this one coming out of California, but maybe they're onto something. Shoot them all and put a stop to the destruction and damage caused after having been ravaged by animals for so long. Animals that have been shipped here over the past century. And no, I'm not that sinister, folks, but I am talking about the plan to save a California island, and one of the options being presented and on the table right now is to shoot all the deer. But hey, what's the old saying? Sacrifice the few to save the many. Maybe for that to happen, we would need to see some incredible change and some serious reform. And we are narrowing it down to just the last 4 Republicans and the only ones left to qualify for the 4th 2024 presidential debate. Although CNN chose not to include all 4 in the picture or their thumbnail that goes with this article, so maybe they're trying to tell us something. Nevertheless, Nikki Haley, described as strong but feminine, says, "May the best woman win," and Haley strives to balance gender in politics. But as we focus on the immediate future, we mustn't ignore the inherent risks that we just continue to take in further increasing our vulnerability by continuing to carry on with this come one, come all approach and open border policy that Biden continues to keep propped up and dummy locked. And you know it's bad when even the WHO comes out and says things like, the World Health Organization has requested that China furnish comprehensive information concerning a recent spike in respiratory illnesses and pneumonia clusters among children. Now, it seems pretty obvious to me, and who is actually pulling the strings or has their hand shoved up this ventriloquist dummy's backside.
I'm here to inform the House of Representatives that the Oversight Committee has indeed brought forward the receipts in our impeachment inquiry of Joe Biden. Through our investigation, we have uncovered a check to Joe Biden for $200,000. This comes from foreign funds from a country in the Middle East through a struggling company, and you can see the check is directly made to Joe Biden. This is what money laundering looks like. We've also uncovered and released today another check to Joseph R. Biden for $40,000. This $40,000 is a check written to him by his brother and sister-in-law, Sarah and James Biden. And this check comes from funds directly through money laundering through the CCP. No president of the United States, no vice president, no office holder should ever engage in money laundering, receiving money, selling out their office, selling out their power.
The gentlewoman's time has
getting
expired.
paid from foreign countries.
The gentlewoman's time has expired.
Inquiry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And when I read comments like these about the deep state and how Joe is only a puppet or how America will be finished depending on who runs for president, well, let's just say it doesn't give me a warm and fuzzy, and perhaps there's some truth to it all. So there's a group of Republican senators led by Marco Rubio whom have urged President Joe Biden to ban travel between the United States and China due to a mysterious respiratory illness spreading in China. Now, their letter to the president highlights concerns over the Chinese Communist Party's history of dishonesty during public health crises, referencing their conduct during the C-19 pandemic. And the senators also criticized the World Health Organization, or the WHO, for its perceived deference to China and advocate for proactive measures to protect American health and economy, which I honestly don't think either have been a priority for, let's just say the last 34 months and 2 weeks, but who's counting? Anyway, the letter defends former President Donald Trump's early C-19 travel ban from China, countering accusations of xenophobia and discrimination by arguing it was the correct decision. And in response to these concerns, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi downplays the situation, stating that such flu clusters among children are common and under control in China. Which now I gotta ask you guys, is it still considered discrimination if it's for the greater good and the safety and health and protection of everyone else? And he emphasizes that China remains open to international interactions and welcomes global visitors. But look, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, y'all can go over there if you want. My black ass is staying put right here. But the hits just keep on coming, y'all, as U.S. officials have expressed frustration over the Biden administration's response to recent attacks in the Red Sea involving U.S. commercial vessels and the USS Carney, a U.S. Navy warship, having responded to distress calls from 3 commercial vessels under attack by Houthi rebels, while simultaneously shooting down 3 unmanned aerial systems. Interestingly enough, some folks are leaving comments on my video saying that most of the information that we're being provided about what's happening in the Red Sea is completely false and inaccurate. But I can neither confirm nor deny. I'm only sharing with you what has been made available in public to me. And if you have any additional information or care to step forward, I'd be more than happy to oblige. My information is in the description down below, so feel free, reach out. Yet, with continued talks and discussions about these incidents and top U.S. defense officials and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan assessing what appears to be a specifically targeted attack directed at the Carney, he is being overly cautious in his stance, and it is seen as an attempt to prevent escalation in a tense region right now, particularly considering the conflict between Israel and Hamas happening in Gaza as we speak. But some officials argue that this underplays the seriousness of the situation and the threat to U.S. naval forces in the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf. And Admiral Christopher Grady, Vice Chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, has emphasized the significance of these attacks on international shipping, suggesting an Iranian influence and a possible expansion of the larger conflict in the region. Oh, and let me show you what I just came across a few minutes ago. All right, so first up, I want you guys to see this. I'm gonna bring this to you in another video, but I just came across this and I thought y'all would find this really, really interesting. And to know my thoughts on this overall, what it means and where we're headed after this, what's coming next. Ukraine's U.S. lifeline is hanging by a thinning thread. No big deal there. They're gonna finally cut off the, this money laundering backdoor deal to Ukraine. But what makes it even more important is, and stand out the most to me, I'm gonna have to turn this, I don't know how this format's gonna look on camera, but White House warns Ukraine funds up soon as new analysts, listen to this, new analysts or analysis finds 90% of the billions and billions and billions of dollars spent stay in the US, okay? This is huge, folks. Money laundering, lies, deceit, corruption at its best. But wait, there's more. Check this out. Someone bet against the Israeli stock market in the days before Hamas's October 7 attack. Now, who do you think that was? All right, guys. I mean, seriously, we almost really, literally, right now at this point, we can't make this stuff up. And they are continuously doing these things, lying to us, putting us in harm's way, risking our lives. Folks are losing their lives because of this. And they are stealing our money. They are robbing us blind. And they're making it seem like we need to beg them for, give them our votes and support them in their decisions and their never-ending political greed and corruption. Come on, guys. Be smart. Pay attention. Keep your eyes peeled, open. Be ready. Be prepared for what's happening and what's going on. Because this shit is seriously about to hit the fan. Now, it was my understanding that the Iranians took full responsibility for these recent attacks, so I don't know why we're trying to downplay this whole thing, but the U.S. has responded to similar threats by Iranian proxies in Iraq and Syria, including recent retaliatory strikes. And officials indicate that a similar response to the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea is not ruled out yet. Meanwhile, U.S. Central Command has warned of considering all appropriate responses with a focus on holding Iran accountable for enabling Houthi attacks. And to address the maritime security challenges, U.S. officials are discussing the formation of a maritime task force, possibly expanding the existing combined maritime forces partnership. Former national security officials have called for more decisive action to deter Houthi attacks and other Iran-backed groups from targeting U.S. forces and interests in the region. But I gotta tell you guys, this all sounds like just another gross waste, misuse of taxpayer dollars. But be that as it may, we are where we are. It is what it is, right? So Now, moving on to another war that we are currently fighting, and this one's happening right here, right now on U.S. soil. Workers who earn both pension and Social Security may have their benefits reduced based on current rules. Now, that may come as a surprise to some workers and their families, and there are some very important loopholes and gotchas that beneficiaries need to know about, and the risk of overpayments and how they may affect their income in retirement. So this story is about Joyce Debnam, a widow and retired U.S. Postal Service worker, and she faced a drastic reduction in her Social Security survivor benefits after having retired. Initially receiving $1,400 monthly, her benefits were then soon cut to just $174. And she was informed that she also owed $5,000 for overpayment. And sadly, despite inquiring about the impact of her retirement on these benefits and being told there would be no effect, she was caught off guard by this change, and rightfully so. And what makes matters worse is that this situation is due to two specific Social Security rules affecting so many other public workers, and it is what is known as the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset, or the WEP and GPO for short. So WEP reduces benefits for those with a pension from non-Social Security contributing employment and less than 30 years of substantial employment covered by Social Security, while the GPO reduces spousal, widow, and widower benefits for those with pensions from government work not covered by Social Security. And as of December 2022, about 2 million people were affected by WEP and approximately 734,601 by GPO. And the numbers are continuously climbing. So many public workers like Debnam are unaware of these rules and their significant impact on retirement planning. And the added complexity of these formulas also make it difficult to predict the benefits that they will receive. Now, Congress is considering the Social Security Fairness Act, which proposes eliminating both WEP and GPO with substantial bipartisan support. And they say that beneficiaries often face issues with overpayments due to the Social Security Administration having incorrect or incomplete information, which in these cases, repayment is required. And I got to tell you guys, people living on a fixed income, they just don't have it like that. Not to be paying back $5,000. So Mark Warshawski, a former Social Security Administration official, suggests that quicker data transfer from state and local governments could prevent such issues. So I guess like FedNow maybe, or ISO 20022 and or maybe CBDC. But if you need help, folks, please feel free and reach out. There are tools available for beneficiaries that they can use, like supplemental fact sheets, online calculators, and annual Social Security statements to estimate your retirement income, considering the WEP and the GPO rules. However, you must be vigilant in tracking your earnings and pension information to ensure accuracy. But also remember that even in cases of overpayment, individual negotiations with the Social Security Administration for repayment terms are possible. And this is a major hot button that must be addressed, in addition to so many other things. And we just keep working our way down the list of potential presidential candidates who remain standing after all others slowly drop out one by one. And I can't wait to watch the fourth GOP presidential primary debate, which is scheduled for Wednesday night in Alabama, that will feature Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. Now, this debate will be broadcast by News Nation and organized by the Republican National Committee, the RNC, and will have the smallest lineup of candidates this year so far. Still, former President Donald Trump, who is leading in the GOP nomination race, will not be in attendance, but instead choosing to participate in a fundraiser down here in Florida. Nevertheless, these candidates qualified for the debate by meeting stricter RNC criteria, which included having a minimum of 80,000 unique donors across at least 20 states or territories and achieving certain polling thresholds. Additionally, they had to commit to supporting the eventual GOP nominee, and the debate takes place just 6 weeks before the Iowa caucuses, marking the beginning of the 2024 GOP nomination calendar. So get ready, folks, because this is about to happen. Finally, The former North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum criticized the RNC's tightened debate qualifications, stating that they favor candidates from major media markets and undermine the primary process's democratic nature. And Burgum, who did not qualify for the latest debates, ended his campaign citing these criteria as disadvantaging candidates from America's heartland. But let's just face it, he didn't have a snowball chance in hell in winning anyway. So long, Doug. And the former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, who is somehow still in the race, has not qualified for any primary debates since the first one in Milwaukee in August, but he too and his campaign is somewhat of a moot point. But either way, in response to the GOP debate, President Joe Biden's campaign and prominent Democrats, including former Alabama Senator Doug Jones, plan to hold a press conference in Tuscaloosa, and they aim to highlight the implications of Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans' agenda for Alabama and the broader stakes of the 2024 election. So, hey, let me know if you're planning on watching the debate tomorrow night. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for more of the latest and breaking news here, because I want you all to stay informed and educated and be well prepared for what all is happening. Now, this is not an attempt to monger fear or generate alarm. This is about the truth, and that is what we shall continue to seek. So if that sounds good to you, then I feel like I'm in really good company. Stay smart, stay safe, and reach out. My info is below, and I will see you guys all right back here for the next one. Have a great, fantastic, and a blessed day.
I can tell you my problems, meditating my silence, but I keep pushing my pen, rotating my stylus. Brokenness feeling like sin, now no breath, low dollar. Used to be left on red, now all the girls go holler. Now all the girls go follow. All the fake fans go pop.